Hi, Jenny.
Hey, Kurt.
I was hoping we could talk about this whole. There's a lot of bad, nefarious stuff going on in the world right now
Yeah.
between the American political system and the starting of the Olympics. People are sad
Yeah.
about it. They say over there that Olympic ceremony opening thing was an homage to the god Dionysus.
Hmm.
And Christians aren't having it.
There is an uproar.
There's maybe something worth looking at there, though.
Yeah.
There may be something to take away from it. And you're like, well, how can that be? They offended me. I get it. You may be offended, but how many of us are aware that January 5th every year, there's a celebration where the god Dionysus supposedly turns your water into wine, and you go to a fountain and you get drunk. Like, where? Like, it's an opportunity, I think, to say, okay, wait a second. Why would they say that? Why would they do this? Is it to offend me? Or is this where this guy's origins are from, man? Like, it's definitely worth looking into.
It's interesting because it does make you look at from a different perspective. What is this tradition really about? And to look at the history of it, there's a problem. It's too similar.
Right. And there's
That both sides can claim it's their person.
Sorry, I'm trying to do something over here while I'm talking here, and I can just edit that right out. But there's
Yes, you
also
can.
this, what do I want to say here? It's not just, I could talk about this guy, Andrew Tate. Not that I'm a huge fan of Andrew Tate, but he's over there in Romania. Like we were talking yesterday, and he was being interviewed. The news was following him, and he's protesting, and he's saying, I'm a Muslim, and I'm offended by this, right? And I'm not even a Christian, and that they would take on the Christian God. Well, wait a second. Are they really? I mean, sure, they are, but at the same time, it's like, where's the origins of that Christian God? Andrew Tate's mind and the mindset of everybody else who's offended is you've taken on my God.
And at least for him, he's protesting. He's speaking up for something, expecting others to join in. Like, okay, where's the uproar here? And to find out it doesn't exist.
Right, and he
seems to be a problem.
And he's being questioned by Romanian priests. However you feel about Andrew Tate or not, it's not really the point. Okay, it's just he's over there protesting on your behalf, and he's not even a Christian. If you're a Christian,
yeah, basically he's speaking up for you.
But even him making the statement that you're going to come. What do you say? 2.5 billion people on planet Earth identify with this religion as their God,
right?
And you're going to just openly and blatantly offend them. Okay, but he makes a statement that it's your God. That's the perception of the whole world, that Jesus Christ is your God. If you're going to identify with the religion of Christianity, right? So I guess then we have this political stuff going on here in this country that's just, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. So you brought something. It's in the first chapter of the Book of Jubilees.
Yeah.
And we've read it before. And goodness gracious, if we need some good news and something to think about, something to put on our minds, and just, gosh, it's so worth it, knowing that there's a difference, man.
There is.
You can choose for them to have this so-called pagan celebration of a god that's wearing the same face as your God, which they're the same. But if you don't know that, then you haven't really studied the history of Greek and Roman and all the mythology. And grammar school, we had to learn it. In middle school, middle school, high school, and college even, it was reinforced. Like, we had to learn this mythology, but they're the same.
Super similar. I mean, there's a huge problem there when you do know your history and you do see the similarities. And then, I mean, the story that we've been told about end times is a horrible picture: destruction, tribulation, like all of those words. We've heard all of those words. But in Yah's word, to know what his end times is like, oh my gracious, it's so much better. Like his story is so worth digging into, because compared to the junk that's going on everywhere, it's reassuring and just like, okay, this is good. I can focus on this part.
This is, and I don't know if this makes the cut or not, but let's just say you're the emperor of the known world and you want to take over the world, and you have all this infighting with these different factions inside of your kingdom. How do you do it? So you create a religion and you put in a story about turning water into wine, and that way people will, that's his first miracle, right? Oh, I can relate to that because that's my guy. I know who that is.
Yeah. But at first, having those similarities, right? So you've got to blend all of these religions together. So you have all these similarities, whether it's in the character or the prophecies or the parables. Like the story has got to be sort of the same, just to blend it all together. And that's what Christianity really did.
Let's give Moshe some love here and Yahuwah some thanks, because...
Okay, so I'm going to start in Jubilees 1. This is verse 15 in this version. After this, they will return to me from among the nations with all their minds, with all their souls, and all their strength. Then I will gather them from among all the nations, and they will search for me so that I may be found by them, when they have searched for me with all their minds and with all their souls. And I think that right there highlights it's our job to search for Yah. Like he's kind of left us on our own devices until we come to our senses and actually search for him. I will rightly disclose to them abundant peace. I will plant them as a righteous plant with all my mind, with all my soul. They will become a blessing, not a curse. They will become the head, not the tail. I will build my temple among them and will live with them. I will be their God, and they will be my true and righteous people. I will neither abandon them nor become alienated from them, for I am Yahweh, their God. Then Moses fell prostrate and prayed and said, Yahweh, my God, do not allow your people and your heritage to go along in the error of their minds, and do not deliver them into the control of the nations, with the result that they rule over them, lest they make them sin against you. May your mercy, Yahweh, be lifted over your people. Create for them a just spirit. May the spirit of Belial not rule over them, so as to bring charges against them before you and to make them stumble away from every proper path, so that they may be destroyed from your presence. They are your people and your heritage, whom you have rescued from Egyptian control by your great power. Create for them a pure mind and a holy spirit. I think in that version it says pure spirit. May they not be trapped in their sins from now to eternity. Then Yahweh said to Moses, I know their contrary nature, their way of thinking, and their stubbornness. They will not listen until they acknowledge their sins and the sins of their ancestors. After this, they will return to me in a fully upright manner and with all their minds and all their souls. I will cut away the foreskins of their minds and the foreskins of their descendants' minds. I will create a holy spirit or pure spirit for them and will purify them in order that they may not turn away from me from that time forever. Their souls will adhere to me and to all my commandments. They will perform my commandments. I will be their father, and they will be my children. All of them will be called children of the living God. Every angel and every spirit will know them. They will know that they are my children, and that I am their father in a just and proper way, and that I love them. Now you write all these words that I tell you on this mountain. What is first, and what is last, and what is to come during all the divisions of the times that are for the law and for the testimony, and for the weeks of their jubilees until eternity, until the time when I descend and live with them throughout all the ages of eternity. Then he told the angel of the presence to dictate to Moses, starting from the beginning of the creation until the time when my temple is built among them throughout the ages of eternity. Yahweh will appear in the sight of all, and all will know that I am the God of Israel, the father of all Jacob's children, and king on Mount Zion for the ages of eternity. Then Zion and Jerusalem will be holy. The angel of the presence, who was going along in front of the Israelite camp, took the tablets that told of the divisions of the years, from the time the law and the testimony were created, for the weeks of their jubilees, year by year, in their full number, and their jubilees from the time of the first creation until the time of the new creation, when the heavens, the earth, and all their creatures will be renewed like the powers of the sky and like all the creatures of the earth, until the time when the temple of Yahweh will be created in Jerusalem on Mount Zion. All the luminaries will be renewed for the purpose of healing, health, and blessing for all the elect ones of Israel, and so that it may remain this way from that time throughout all the days of the earth. That's it.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah, isn't that great? Now, I don't know when we get to this point, but it sounds fantastic. Everything is renewed. Your luminaries are for health and healing. Yah actually is present with his people. I mean, that is a beautiful story.
I kind of want to go back to the mess. We were on a roll yesterday.
Yeah, we were.
We were talking about all the pedophiles and all the different things that are out there that are just. And I came across this
just horrible.
Dads against pedophiles in this one particular town, and they were actually luring men and women into these shopping centers like Walmart or Target, posing as a 13-year-old boy or girl to get these people to show up, and they would, and it would be these two dads, and they would film themselves beating the heck out of them. Meanwhile, it's a news story, and they're interviewing the cop that's in charge of the town, like the detective, and he was saying,
we've arrested over 1,500 of these individuals since the task force was initiated just here in the state of Ohio.
Any is too many, like, honestly. It's horrible. Just a horrible problem.
How? And people are upset about men dressing as women and going to the library and teaching your children, and it's like, Andrew Tate brought it up in that interview. They can't have children still after yours. And like, how do you protect your children from this?
Yeah.
How do we protect anything from anything? We can't. We can't. The laws are stacked, man. The whole world is stacked against us doing what Yahuwah says. And Yahuwah says, I'll fix it for you.
Yeah, he does.
I just think, like, they're asking the wrong questions. Like, how many would be, how do we stop them? Like, why is it starting to begin with?
Yeah.
What is going on with the depravity of human beings? That's your first inclination is to be sexually attracted to a minor? That's just weird.
It is. It's terrible.
So could these things stop? We can fix it. He can fix it.
You can choose life. So much better. God's ways are so much better.
It happened in the first year of the Exodus, chapter 1, Jubilees 1:1. Of the children of Israel out of Egypt, in the 3rd month of the 16th day of the month, that Elohim spoke to Moses, saying, come up to me on the mountain, and I will give you 2 tablets of stone of the law and the commandment, which I have written, that you may teach them. Moses went up to the mountain of Elohim, and the glory of Yah rested on Mount Sinai. And a cloud overshadowed it 6 days. And he called to Moses on the seventh day out of the middle of the cloud, and the appearance of the glory of Yahweh was like a flame on the top of the mountain. Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights, and Elohim taught him the earlier and latter histories of the division of all the days of the law and of the testimony. Open your heart to every word which I speak to you on this mountain, and write them in a book, in order that their generations may see how I have not forsaken them for all the evil which they have committed, when they transgressed the covenant which I established between me and you for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. And we ran across a pastor making an entire write-up on it. Are the Ten Commandments still relevant for today?
Yeah.
And he's arguing for and against it. It's a covenant. You transgressed, right? But for all the evil which they have committed when they transgressed the covenant, which I established between me and you for their generations this day on Mount Sinai. How dare that pastor not know this? You're held accountable with the generations that are scattered to the four corners of the earth because our ancestors wouldn't listen.
Yeah. And right there, he's showing how, or just mentioning, he's been faithful to this covenant. We have the history of him keeping the Israelites, their shoes didn't wear out for 40 years. They were fed manna every morning. Like, he provided perfectly for his people, just bringing them out of Egypt. And then here he's leaving them to their own devices, basically, because they are the ones who've been unfaithful. They have broken that covenant. So, and we've read, even until this day, we still are breaking those commandments instead of keeping them. So we're still off the mark. We're still not in covenant until we come to the realization that, okay, my ancestors messed up, I've messed up, and we focus on keeping his covenant. Then we can call ourselves his people. Then we want to make sure we're keeping Sabbath. Then we want to do his stuff. Because coming back into covenant, that's so worth it. That's coming into the benefits of this relationship.
I agree. That's a good word, Jenny.
Thanks.
And it will come to pass when all these things, this is verse 6, it'll come to pass when all these things come on them, that they will recognize that I am more righteous than they in all their judgments and all their actions, and they will recognize that I have truly been with them. Write all the words for yourself which I speak for you, or speak to you today. For I know their rebellion and their stubbornness, but I brought them into the land of which I swore to their forefathers, to Abraham and to Isaac and to Jacob, saying, unto your offspring I will give you land flowing with milk and honey. They will eat and be satisfied. They will not turn to strange deities, to deities they cannot deliver to deities that cannot deliver them from any of their tribulation, and the witness shall be heard for a witness against them. They will forget all my commandments, even all that what?
Can you reread that verse? Because you said they will not turn after other gods.
They will eat and be satisfied, and they will turn to the strange deities, to deities that cannot deliver them from any of their tribulation. And this witness shall be heard for a witness against them. They will forget all my commandments, even all that I command them, and they will walk in the ways of the Gentiles, and after their uncleanness, and after their shame, and will serve their deities, and they will prove to them an offense, and these will prove to them an offense, and a sickness, and a trap. Many will perish, and they will be taken captive, and will fall into the hands of the enemy, because they have forsaken my laws, and my commandments, and the festivals of my covenant, and my Sabbaths, and my pure place, which I have made pure for myself, in the presence of my tabernacle, and my sanctuary, which I made pure for myself, in the midst of the land, that I should set my name on it, that it should should reside there. They will make themselves high places and places of worship, and graven images. Each will worship a graven image of his own making. Thus they'll go astray, and they'll sacrifice their children to demons, and to all errors their hearts can work. I will send witnesses to them, that I may testify against them, but they will not hear. They will kill the witnesses. They will persecute those who seek the law, and they will abolish and change everything. This is in the law in parentheses, so as to work evil before my eyes. And then you start off with, I will hide my face from them. I will deliver them into the hand of the Gentiles. They'll be captured like prey for their eating. I will remove them from the land. I will scatter them among the Gentiles, and they'll forget my law and my commandments and all my judgments. They will go astray regarding the observation of new months, which same thing as new moons, and Sabbaths and festivals and jubilees and laws. And then you start off with 15.
Yeah. And where you had the word Gentiles, I have the word nations in my version. And where you had tribulation, I had affliction. So I just thought that was interesting, the way that it's translated. And really, when you sent me that version that you put up there, I thought it was super interesting. Like, it is titled Little Genesis, right, for the title of Jubilees, but also the Apocalypse of Moses. And I had to actually look up that word, because I think of apocalypse as terrible ending, like complete destruction, but it's actually the revelation of Moses. He's discovering, here Yah's giving him all this knowledge of the past events that have happened, how Yah has been faithful. Here we have the covenant, and then he gives him the future, like what's going to happen. And he warns his people at the end of Deuteronomy, you guys are going to mess this up. I've seen it. Like, he's seen it with his own eyes. You guys are going to mess this up. But come back to this covenant. And then we have these promises. And the promises at the end of Jubilees 1 of Yah coming and descending and creating his Jerusalem, that ties into Ezekiel. That's super exciting.
Even when we come out of Christianity and wake up and start keeping Torah, the Torah observant are so guilty still of dragging Jesus into this faith. But
gotta mix it in.
Guys, you gotta start looking as to what we're doing. Like, stop. Yeah. We don't need them. We literally don't need them. Yahuwah is our
Yah, yes. Go ahead.
He's going to make the earth new. He's going to do a new thing. When he says, I'm going to do a new thing. Because that pastor is saying, and a lot of them, almost all of them, I have yet to hear one who doesn't. Say that, no, it's a new thing now. It's the new covenant. What new covenant? You didn't swear an allegiance to anything else. Your ancestors did not swear an allegiance to anything else but these 10 commandments. Here's Yahuwah testifying against us. Yeah. Like, your ancestors swore to it. Now you're bound by blood and oath, man.
Yeah.
So what are we looking at, man? Being offended over somebody who's keeping the festival of Dionysus? But it's the same thing. Like, what are you offended about? Let them burn, man. That's the festivals of the nations. Who cares? Why even waste a minute being upset over it? It's not Yahuwah. Yahuwah's got his own festivals, his own celebrations, his Sabbaths. After that, they'll turn from me among the Gentiles in their hearts. Where does it say that? Oh, and they'll forget my law and my commandments and all my judgments. They will go astray regarding the observance of new months, Sabbaths, and festivals, and jubilees, and laws. Yep.
We've definitely done that.
Sure did.
Not for anybody's good. It's just awful.
We're here today in this position with people who cannot keep their hands off of children, who do harm to each other, who will lie, cheat, and steal to maintain power, because we will not bend the knee to Yahuwah and Yahuwah alone. That's what's wrong.
Yep.
Until we figure this out, it's going to keep on rolling like this. But he says he's going to fix it, right?
Yes.
So
when we search for him with all our hearts, when we take the initiative to change ourselves, what we focus on, what we believe, then I feel like it's that light switch that turns on and he appears, like he has it all perfectly planned out.
let's talk about this idea of reviewing the commandments every day.
Oh, yeah.
What were you sharing earlier?
Well, when you mentioned, I think in our last video, like start your day with those 10 commandments. Like that's your covenant. That's such a beautiful promise. So, and I listened to a podcast, gal, I really enjoy her podcast, but she had this idea
Who is she?
of
What's her name? You know?
Mel Robbins. She's the top podcaster of all podcasts. I
So
don't know what it is.
We'll put her link to that in the description. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, it's just a
Yeah, we will.
scientific idea. We'll see. Anyway, she has like experts on like scientifically what's healthy or whatever. And the idea is instead of looking at your phone or your screens first thing of the day, go outside. Have 10 minutes of natural light is kind of the challenge. So I go outside with my coffee and I renew the 10 commandments. And it's been really beautiful. Just an awesome moment to praise Yah, claim I'm in covenant with you. I celebrate your 10 things. I celebrate your Sabbaths. I want to be your people. And it's been a really fun way to start my day.
We were just talking before we got on the started recording. 2014 is when I started keeping the Shabbat, when I started following these commands, right? And
yeah.
Almost every day. I'm not gonna say I'm 100% on it, but almost every day I try to review those. But then I'll quiz myself, and 10 years later I'm still messing up, man. You know, like what's your third commandment, Kurt? You know, and I'll forget.
Honestly, the first three kind of blend together. You know, the fourth is keeping Sabbath, you know, and those last five are pretty quick. They're super short, but yeah, that's the common.